our guest speaker. He is the head of the Department of Transfusion Medicine at Manipal Hospital. He is an eminent personality in the field of blood banking in India. He will be sharing and enlightening us on the topic of blood transfusion on the eve, or rather 2 days before World Blood Donor Day, which happens to be on the 14th of June. Without further ado, I would call upon stage Dr. C Shivram.
So very good evening, all of you.
Good evening.
So I'm thankful to Bangalore Toastmasters Club for inviting me here, and I'm really glad that so many of you here have chosen to spend your weekend listening to such wonderful topics before me, and probably a dry topic which nobody wants to hear: blood donation and blood transfusion. I'm very sure many of you could have spent your weekend probably at a film theatre or watching the TV, or maybe watching the India-Bangladesh match today. But the fact that you have chosen to come for this meeting on a weekend shows that you really committed. Very good Samaritans, not only good speakers, very good Samaritans at heart who want to know something about blood donation and blood transfusion. I am really thankful to you from the bottom of my heart for attending this session. I think many of you know that transfusion medicine is a relatively new field. Unlike if you ask a surgeon or a physician, he will say, my field is 1,000 years old or 2,000 years old. But our field, what we call as transfusion medicine, is only 115 years old. Our field came into existence with the discovery of ABO blood groups by Karl Landsteiner in the year 1900. So, before that we hardly knew that blood group existed. Karl Landsteiner grouped his colleagues who were working in the laboratory. He was a physicist in Vienna, and found that all human beings could be categorized into 3 groups: A, B and O. All of you know there is a 4th group, AB, also today, but Landsteiner did not discover the 4th group, AB, because his laboratory did not have the AB group personal. And even today we know AB group is a very rare group. 2 years later, in the year 1902, his colleagues De Castello and Sterling found the next blood, the 4th blood group, AB. To understand the importance of Karl Landsteiner's discovery, without blood groups, whatever advances we see today, whether it is transplantation, surgery, none of them would be possible. But to understand it further, in 1900, although Landsteiner discovered ABO blood groups and classified human beings into A, B, O and subsequently AB, still transfusions continued to fail. From 1900 to 1940, hundreds and thousands of scientists across the world were studying blood groups, but still we did not understand why transfusions are failing. In the year 1940, it was left for Landsteiner to come back and say, transfusions are failing because we have forgotten another group, what we call as the rhesus factor. So he said, some of human beings, we have an antigen, a protein similar to what is found in the rhesus monkey that is found in Africa. And those people, he called them as Rh positives. And those of us who do not have this rhesus factor, he called them, those of us who are different from human beings, he called them as Rh negative. If you take the whole world population, 85% are Rh positive. That means we have a similarity to the monkeys. 15% are different from the monkeys. If you take India, 95 to 97% of us are Rh positive. Only 3 to 5% of us are different. That is why now you know why we have so much of difficulty when you have to find Rh negative blood. So what we are commemorating this June 14 is the World Blood Donors Day. So I believe this topic has been chosen because worldwide we celebrate June 14th as the World Blood Donors Day. It happens to be Karl Landsteiner's birthday. So all of us, we know that we need blood from, even before our birth, from womb to tomb. Today we as doctors don't wait for you to be born. We start transfusions even when you are still in your mother's womb, which we call intrauterine transfusions. You know many children are born with jaundice, and to prevent that, the child becomes anemic and destroys the red cell, which is what is seen as jaundice. So we give intra-uterine transfusions. And many of you here probably, I do not know how many of you have really donated blood. Have you?
Yes.
How many of you have donated blood here? Yes. I'm very surprised. I mean, what I guessed is really good because you're really good Samaritans to find so many voluntary blood donors under one roof. Out of the people present here, 90% raise their hands, which is very, very rare. Because even when we go to an IT company where there are 1,000 people, from our experience, not more than 10 to 15% have donated blood or donate blood at any point of time. So I think 90% donors is a very good, the right audience for me to speak to. So, if you take the worldwide incidence, see, most of the blood in the developed countries goes for conditions like transplants, cancers, major trauma, and those things. Whereas in the developing countries, the low income and the middle income countries, most of the blood is for treatment of anemia, then malaria, pregnancy related complications and all these things. So if you divide the world as developed countries to developing countries, 50% of the blood is donated in the developing countries and 50% in the developed countries. But there are only 20% of the population residing in the developed countries. So 50% of blood, quality blood is accessible to the 20% of the population, whereas the rest of the 50% have access to the remaining 50%. So there is a wide disparity in availability of blood worldwide. Whether you take India or the neighboring countries, there is a wide disparity. And if you take the number of blood centers, there are about 10,000 blood centers in the world. And according to this year's data released by WHO, worldwide the collection of 108 billion units is what we need for the whole world. Out of this, 83 million units are being collected by about 10,000 blood centers in the world. And would anybody like to guess how many blood centers we have in India? Other than Mr. Ratan Shetty, who knows everything about blood transfusion much more than me?
100.
Make a guess how many blood banks are there in India?
530.
There are 10,000 centers in the world.
530. 100.
About 500.
Yes, we would be very happy with 100 or 500. Unfortunately, we have 2,700 blood centers.
Wow.
But yet we have a scarcity of blood. What does this show? What we need is not more blood banks or more blood centers. What we need are more and more voluntary blood donors to fill blood, which is the raw material for us. If you take Singapore, whole of Singapore has got one blood center. Whole of UK has got only one blood center. The National Health Service manages all the collection and it is then distributed to various hospitals, but they just cross-match and issue the blood. Whereas what we have in India is a highly fragmented transfusion service. Every small hospital which comes up starts its own blood bank, whether there is a need or not. So this has led to dilution of the quality of blood. But I am sure you are not interested too much in those things. I will not like to stray into those areas. So what is probably, it will be of interest to you to understand how much blood do we need in our state and how can we contribute to this. In India, now the Indian requirement is 10 billion out of the 108 billion units worldwide. India needs 10 to 12 million units in the estimate. That means if you take our country's population, 10% of the blood is used in India, more than 10 to 12%. So if you take our country's population, what is the population? Roughly 120 crores. I guess last time I heard it was 120 crores. It might have increased a little bit. Now if we take 120 crores, 1% of 120 crores happens to be 12 million. So even if 1% of our population donate blood once a year, we have no shortage. But yet we face a shortage because everybody is, in the country is not like those Masters Club people here. If 90% donated, we could export blood to everybody. Forget about 90%, we are having less than 1% of people donating blood in our country. When I told this to somebody else, I was on a stage with a commercial tax officer and the chief guest in one other function, said it is the same thing with income tax, less than 1%. So, and then I said, at the blood bank, we are only worried about one thing. A positive blood should go to A positive person, B positive blood should go to B positive person. It may seem very trivial for you, but there is no room for error. You are always worried about it. When I said this to a police commissioner who was on stage at a similar forum like this, police commissioner said for 50 years, we are trying to teach our people only one thing. Red means stop, green means go. So you can understand both are difficult. Making A positive blood going into A positive patient and telling people stop at red light and go at green light. Both of us are not succeeding very well. So what we need for safe, what do you think is primary requirement if you all want safe? If we need safe blood, we definitely need blood donors. Blood banks are somewhere between a pharmaceutical industry and health service. We are supposed labeled as manufacturers of blood by the drug controller, but unless somebody donates, we cannot manufacture anything. So now let's understand what is the psychology of the person who comes, all of us, the community who comes to us for blood donation. If you are admitted, if your close relative are admitted in a hospital, let's say your father or mother, and they needed blood, and I gave you three choices, which one would you like to, which one would you think is safe to choose blood? One is maybe yourself, or your brother or sister, your close relative, your father's close relative, his brother or sister. Second, a friend known to you for about 20 years, friend known to friend. Third is an unknown voluntary blood which somebody has donated in some camp, don't even know the person. So what would be your choice? Relative, friend, or unknown voluntary blood donor? Just want, nothing right or wrong. Just want, what is your opinion? So how many of you prefer relative? Please raise your hand. Yes, so I think close to 90% want relatives, except Ratan Shetty, he knows the answer. So, okay, what about friends? Anybody? Yes? Some of you may trust your friends more than your relatives. Yes? Isn't it? Yes. How many of you would prefer to get blood from an unknown voluntary donor who donated something? Yes, there are few people. So what is the reason? Why do you want from unknown relative donors? You don't mean unknown persons? You don't trust your relatives?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Why do you think it doesn't matter?
As long as it's healthy, there's no disease, it doesn't matter.
Okay, if I told you that none of my tests are absolute, I can never guarantee 100% safety by testing, then what would be your choice? I cannot guarantee that my blood will be 100% safe, irrespective of the test I do. Would you change your choice? So, by and large, would you like to change your choice? I'm not forcing you, I'm just asking. So, by and large, all of us, we perceive, we want our relatives' blood or friends' blood. Why is this? The single most thought probably that must have come into your mind, we are all worried about HIV, isn't it? We don't want to contract it. That is our biggest worry. And those of you who know hepatitis and those things, we are worried that by taking blood from an unknown person, we might contract HIV. So what we must understand, what are the chances of getting HIV when we take blood? As a true scientific principle, what are the chances of me getting HIV if I were to take blood from my relative versus an unknown voluntary blood donor? Yes, when you take blood from an unknown voluntary blood donor who has donated blood without taking any money, then still there is a possibility that you might develop HIV because our test may fail, but that chances, that incidence is as low as 1 in 5 lakh. To give you a better idea of what is 1 in 5 lakh, it is the same as the chances of you dying in an aeroplane crash. Do you stop flying just because the aeroplane you fly may crash? No, we don't stop flying. There is a risk we take in everyday life. So that is the risk. But now let us compare this with what can happen when we take blood from our close relative. When I take blood from our close relative, let's say, for the first instance, I would like to say, I forgot your name, I'm sorry.
Karunakar.
Karunakar is an unknown person to me. So Karunakar donates as a voluntary blood donor. He is not related to me. In such a situation, all of us, what we need to understand first is that our white cells, blood has got white cells, all of you know that. Our white cells are good for us, but not necessarily the donor's white cells. So when he donates blood for an unrelated person like Karunakar donates blood for me, then my white cells are able to recognize his white cells as foreign, not my own. So they destroy the white cells, no harm comes to me because you are unrelated. Your white cells are not good for me, only my white cells are good for me. So your white cells are destroyed, prevented from multiplication, no, I am not harmed. On the contrary, now let us assume that Karunakar is my brother. So what happens? We share the same proteins, not completely, but we have partially, your white cell and my white cell are similar. His white cell and my white cell are partially similar. We have shared the same proteins. So now I am a sick person taking his blood. So my white cells allow his white cells to proliferate, thinking that they are my own because of the similarity. But he is a healthy person and he is donating blood for me. So his white cells can make out the difference that it is not the same. So his white cells mount an attack against my white cells. This is what we call a graft. Graft is the white cells, the donor blood, versus host. I am the host receiving the blood. Graft versus host disease. So relative donation, when you take blood from relatives, you can have a complication called graft versus host disease, post-transfusion GVHD, that's what we call it. And this complication, if it happens, there is no cure. You are certain to die in 1 month, 30 days. With this background, now I will ask you once again. Again, I am telling you, my intention is not my intention is not to convince anybody here. Now I want to ask you once again. I need not be convinced by me. With this knowledge, one first point I told you was, with the chances of you getting HIV from unknown relative, unrelated donor is as low as dying in an aeroplane crash. The second point is that if you acquire GVHD following relative donation, the chances of dying are 100%. So which one would you prefer?
What is the probability of GVH?
Yes, that's what I mean. That's the most important point you need to be convinced about before answering this question, isn't it? The chances of GVHD is 1 in 1,000. Compare it with 1 in 5 lakh. Which is better?
1 in 5 lakh.
Some people may say it's better to die of GVHD than live with HIV. That also I have seen. But with HIV today, you can live comfortably for 10 years, 15 years. We find people living 15, nothing happens to you. But with GVHD, death is certain. And if I give relatives blood, only I encourage the relative donation. At Manipur Hospital, to give you an example, I collect blood from about 2,000, we issue 2,000 units of blood. If I gave every unit of blood to their own relation, matched it, in a month I can expect 2 deaths because of GVHD. Isn't it? So it's a very big number. That is why we strongly discourage relative donation. We don't discourage relatives from donating blood. What we say, please donate, but we will use that blood for somebody else and give you a different unit of blood. But please don't insist on the same unit of blood, because that is more dangerous than HIV, hepatitis, HCV, anything that you probably know of.
So sometimes for elective surgeries, people donate their own blood, and after some time for the surgery, what about that? Is that
Yes. So there were 2 things. This actually we have eradicated this from Bangalore, giving relatives blood. We have trained all the blood banks and made sure that even if some doctors, even doctors are not aware of it, many of these things. So we tell them, even if a doctor asks for it, don't give it. So if you come to my blood bank and insist that I want my relative's blood only because they're going for surgery, something like that, then you sign a special consent that I accept this risk. I have a consent form. Till today, nobody has signed it. Who will sign their own death certificate? But your point, what you are saying, is people are made to wait outside the operation theatre, and when they want, they will collect blood from them and give it. Let me ask you another question. When you go to the grocery shop, you pick up butter or bread, what is the first thing that you see before you use it? Expiry. We want everything to be fresh. If everything should be fresh, what do we eat? Why not blood that goes into our blood? Should it not be fresh?
Yes.
How many of you prefer fresh blood as opposed to old blood? Please raise your hand. How many of you want fresh blood? 60%. Roughly 60% of you would prefer fresh blood. Yes, why? Now let's understand what is fresh blood. When I collect blood from you, I need to store it somewhere. So if I collect it till I do the testing. What we do today are called ELISA tests, which cannot be done singly. I cannot do single sample testing. I have to wait for that day's pool, let's say 20-30 samples together, and then only I can test those samples. So I put it in the refrigerator till my tests are complete. So all these things usually take about 12 to 24 hours time for me to complete my test. So what happens to the blood, whole so-called fresh whole blood that I have stored in my refrigerator? By 24 hours, blood has got red cells, white cells, platelets, 3 cellular components, and a fluid portion called the plasma, which has got clotting factors. So the platelets begin to die and become non-functional by 24 hours. The clotting factors in plasma, which are required for arresting bleeding, they've got 2 types, one which are labile, another stable. So the unstable ones go off. So the plasma has become useless, the fluid portion of blood, platelets are almost gone. So what is remaining? Red cells, which are useful for the patient, and the harmful white cells, what I told you in the beginning. White cells are never good for us. So what is the alternative? The alternative is to split blood into appropriate components the moment we collect it. So today, we no longer use whole blood, fresh whole blood, because by the time we finish our test, there is no freshness left in it. So we split them within 6 hours after collection. Even before we do our test, we separate red cells, keep it in the refrigerator. We separate plasma, put it in the deep freezer at -30. We take the platelet, put it on the agitator, which keeps moving it continuously. That way, we are matching the body's condition. And when we freeze plasma, all the clotting factors in it are viable or have life in them for a period of 1 year. Whereas when I keep it in the refrigerator during testing, even for one day, they begin to decay. Quality suffers. That is why today is the age of blood components. If a person is anemic, we would like to give them red blood cells. Or if somebody here said, my father is undergoing dialysis, she spoke very well and told about mother undergoing dialysis. In dialysis, what happens? The kidney does not function. Kidney is the one which produces erythropoietin hormone required for red cell production. Because the kidneys don't function, they need regular red cell transfusions or the injections of erythropoietin. So again, dialysis patients need red cell transfusion frequently. Then surgery patients need red cells because they are losing blood. Trauma patients, all the accident victims need red cells. So all these people need red cells and nothing else actually. Whereas in contrast, let's think of another condition like cancer patients who receive chemotherapy, cancer drugs. When they receive chemotherapy, the platelets get destroyed. So such a condition we give them only platelets. Then every year during the rainy season you have heard of one more condition, dengue. Whenever dengue comes, we hear of we get a lot of phone calls. In fact, we are woken up day and night for asking for platelets all the time. But the truth is that in dengue fever, there is no indication for platelet transfusion until the patient bleeds. Unless he has an intracranial bleed or an abdominal bleed or somewhere inside, there is no indication for platelet transfusions at all. So most of the transfusions are given out of fear, either on the part of the doctor treating the patient or the patient himself. I have talked to our consultants also. We wait till 10,000. Sometimes the patients put pressure on them. Normal platelet count is 1.5 lakhs, much above a lakh. But we transfuse platelets only when it comes to 10,000 or 20,000. Even then we would like to avoid, because the platelets that we give in dengue hardly stay in the body for about 2 hours. So what's the point? Every 2 hours you can't keep transfusing. You can only pray to God and hope that nothing happens to you. Keep platelet and stand by. We tell them we'll keep it ready. If you bleed, we'll give you. But giving it in advance won't help you. You only lose a lot of money. But then patients come and ask us, can you guarantee that I won't bleed? How to guarantee? We cannot guarantee. So we are sometimes obliged and give it. But the reality, don't get panic if you have dengue fever. Most of you will not need platelets. Only a small subset who need who daily platelet count goes down rapidly, they are likely to need platelets. And the right time to check for your platelet count in dengue is also 4th or 5th day, not before that. Before that, when you are having high temperature, platelets are normal. You don't have to worry when you are having fever. Only when the fever goes off, the platelets drop. That is the time you need to check for your platelet count. Okay, that was about another common condition like platelet. So, and then I told you one more thing about safety of blood, isn't it? When somebody said, why not blood, I wouldn't mind if it is properly tested. Why do I say that even tested blood is not safe? As I said initially, we do a test called ELISA, which takes about 4 to 6 hours to do the procedure. And here, what we are looking for is not the virus proper. We test for HIV in blood, hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus, then syphilis and malaria. These are the 5 infectious markers that we look for. The most important ones again are HIV, hepatitis B and hepatitis C because they are incurable. Rest of them there is a cure at least, syphilis and malaria. So these 3 markers we look for antibodies to the virus. And if the person is infected recently, there is a time lag which we call as the window phase, 1 to 3 months for the antibodies to form. So the period between infection and detection, which we call as the window phase, is that period during which our test will come negative, although the donor is harboring HIV or hepatitis. Because of this window phase, we say our blood is never safe. So to overcome this, we were the first hospital in the country. We started what is known as NAT testing, nucleic acid testing, as earlier October 2007. So here, we don't wait for the antibodies to form. We look for HIV, viral RNA and DNA by PCR. I do not know how many of you are science students here, polymerase chain reaction, where the RNA, DNA is amplified millions of times and then we try to detect it. So by doing this, we can reduce this period of infection and detection period from 1 month to maybe 1 week, but still we cannot eliminate it. That is why testing of blood is never 100% safe. So what we are dependent on is voluntary repeat donors who come to us day after day, who are motivated donors, unpaid donors. That is the only way we can guarantee safe blood. Mere testing of blood will not guarantee safe blood. So I think I have taken quite a lot of time. Though I was not shown the yellow card or red card, maybe I should stop before that. So the theme for this year's World Blood Donors Day is thanking you for saving my life. That is the theme that has been coined by WHO for this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.